Hello and welcome back to this week's edition of the Kass Review.
Dun dun dun! That's right, we're the two scary trans ladies that your mom told you not to become and you did anyway, and now you're listening to our podcast.
If you're us, that is. Or if you're not us, that's fascinating and I do want to know more.
Yeah, please follow up with us.
Yeah, please. Wow. Okay, there's a lot for us to figure out there. Uh, as
We have very
always,
supportive moms.
we do.
We do.
Uh, um, yeah, I'm Sarah. Hi. I went to law school with Kat, and then I dropped out.
Hi, I am Kat. I went to law school with Sarah and I made the unwise choice of not dropping out, and now I'm a lawyer for real, for real.
Yay.
Yay!
And every
And so,
Sunday we do our best to get together and process the news.
wow. The news is like such a positive word for something that should really not bring a sense of excitement.
Yeah, I know.
It should be called
Extra,
like the
extra.
sads.
Um, what's
I
the
like
latest
that.
word?
The
It's
latest word is genocide.
oh, I know. Okay, well, you're a little behind the times, but that's the latest word. It's- oh God.
Plot twist, that's been the word every week.
Yeah,
Oh.
Um, unfortunately it is, and it continues to be one of the words this week. And let's jump right in.
Yes.
Extra, extra, local progressive Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in hot water for voting in favor of extra funding for the state of Israel.
Hot water in this economy. All my showers are ice cold.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, and imagine how much, if that hot water is potable, that's going to be real expensive in the near
Yeah.
future.
Come on. I mean, AOC using hot water, what's she gonna do next?
Yeah.
Okay, for real, for real. There's some controversy online and in real life about AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, voting i against an amendment to strike a different amendment to
Well,
continue having funding for Israel.
it's the amendment she voted against the striking, yes. It's
Yes, yes, yes.
she's anti-strike. Uh, no, she's not. I'm not
Damn,
trying to get her into extra hot water.
damn.
She doesn't need that.
No,
Uh,
despite you
no,
saying extra, extra, not extra
yeah.
hot water.
So
Okay, okay.
here's what happened. You might have seen reports that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez voted against Marjorie Taylor Greene's amendment, which would have removed funding for the Israeli military. And she voted against that, voting instead to send 500 million extra dollars to the Israeli military for Iron Dome and other missile defense stuff. And I started seeing those headlines and I was like, okay, but what's the actual vote? Because oftentimes, especially with Congress, especially with amendments, stuff is so complex that you look into it and you're like, that's not exactly what happened, news.
Mm-mm.
So
The trappings of bureaucracy.
so
So,
Kat can confirm it took us a long time to actually track down what the vote was about.
yeah, and like what they were actually voting on. So,
Yeah.
here's the skinny. There is something called HR 4016. It's House Resolution 4016 that is appropriating or providing funding for the Department of Defense, which is part of the US government. Uh, One of the sections of that bill, it is section number 8067, uh, is proposed to provide $500 million in funding for Israel's military, largely for the Iron Dome, uh, as well as some other stuff, mostly bombs, or anti-bomb bombs.
Missiles capabilities, which are claimed to be defensive, but what that means is up to the missiler.
So true, so true. You know what they always say? It's
Defense
missiles
is
are
in
in
the
that
eye. Yeah,
eye of the
okay.
missiler. Something like that.
Something, we got
So
it.
we got it. We got it. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, in all her infinite wisdom, uh, voted or no, proposed an amendment that would strike that section and thus
Yes.
effectively cut off
That's true.
aid to Israel. Well, folks, Sarah's been killed. It's just me now. Oh, Good news, Sarah's alive. She sent me a text. She said she lost her tubes. I'm glad she finally got her tubes tied. It's been a big pregnancy scare week for Sarah. I've been really worried about her. What's the
Specific,
last thing you heard?
uh, specifically, Marjorie Taylor Greene proposed House Amendment 55, which
Mm-hmm.
would
Mm-hmm.
actually be to approve proposed Amendment 114 from Part A of House Report 119 to 199, because this
No.
is how fucking government works. It's so
Uh,
stupid. Uh,
it doesn't have to be like this, people.
But I will say, in this case, we did track all this stuff down. We actually read it, so we understood what was being voted on. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, the stories being reported are accurate. This is $500 million that's going to the Israeli military or the Israeli defense that would not otherwise have gone there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced the amendment. So she introduced the proposal to cut this funding. We will
because
say
she's a
that she
woke
didn't.
ally.
Oh, my sweet summer child. Do I wish?
Has she turned a new
Um,
leaf? Progressive hero
n-
Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Unfortunately, while I would love that to be the headline, she also tried to cut funding to Ukraine and
Oh,
to for HIV and AIDS testing and prevention in many other countries,
oh, I see.
and basically any other foreign aid at all. So, woke
Okay.
ally, not unless being woke means being broke.
Damn. All right. So not a woke ally, but AOC, secret woke ally for voting against Marjorie Taylor Greene then?
Um,
Maybe?
I mean, if being a woke ally means just doing the opposite of your opposition, then perhaps. But
Uh,
if being an ally meant just doing opposite day always, then maybe you're just letting your oppos control your own narrative, and maybe you have some deeper soul searching to do.
yeah, maybe.
So, but I will
She,
say,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say she said this is consistent with her long-stated positions that she is in favor of like the Iron Dome, that in her take on this, what she was voting for was likely to prevent unnecessary future deaths of Israeli civilians and not voting to increase the capacities of aggression against Palestinian peoples. And uh,
A little too little, too late, girl. That's
it's a
what I have
little,
to say.
a little too little, too late. And I don't
Capacities of aggression.
believe that. If you're giving $500 million to Israeli missile networks, like, do you genuinely believe there's no chance that money is used instead aggressively against Palestinians?
Mm-mm.
I
And
struggle to
also,
see.
you literally in the text of this bill it says our greatest strategic ally. Like you are giving them terms in the funding in the big bill HR 4016. There are terms by which Israel has to abide by in using this funding. But do we really think we're going to be enforcing that if they just use it for whatever? Are we asking for funding reports? Like, and even if we are we reading them? Are we enforcing them? Probably not. We're basically just writing a $500 million check to Israel and saying go wild.
Yeah. And there's like, I don't know. I'm sure there's politics behind this. Like, she's,
Politics? Behind the politics?
I know.
Never.
Like, the fact of the matter is, this amendment got 6 yes votes, right? Like, this is not something that was ever going to pass. AOC's vote did not actually have any impact on what happened with that money. And I I don't know this. I'm making this up. But like there might be situations where AOC knows that voting this way makes it more likely that she's able to be reelected in the future because she might have a large part of her voter base that is pro-Israel, and she might see this as like, because functionally this vote makes no difference, that in the long term she'll be able to do more good by winning in elections in the future. I don't know, but
Uh,
still not a good look. I prefer my politicians to vote in accordance with their own morals rather than in accordance with future elections.
yeah. And honestly, ironically, perhaps, that is what gets my vote, is by you voting with your morals and not voting by what you think that I want you to do. Because you can't read my mind. And you didn't even really ask.
Which might also be what she's doing. Like it might just be that this is what her morals are telling her to do in this case, in which case, I guess I
Damn.
backtrack. Uh, so maybe don't vote in line with your morals if your morals are different. If your morals are different from mine, actually, I've changed my mind. I only like politicians who vote in accordance with my morals.
Oh, I think you and I might have that in common.
Yeah.
Uh, well, if in the scale of politicians I like more, or no, like less versus extremely less, I prefer number one, vote with what exactly I want you to do. But if not that, then vote with your own morals at least. But if you're just like trying to vote for the theoretical voter, that's my least favorite. Don't do that. That's stupid.
And that's my made up explanation. Like, that's not what she said.
Yeah.
She has
No.
said this is her moral position that, like,
Yeah.
she votes in favor of defensive capabilities.
Yeah. Which
And
is like, sure, fight fire with fire, girl. Whatever.
I
But
mean,
I
the
will
Iron
note,
Dome theoretically, like, if genuinely the funding was only used for what the Iron Dome claimed to be, it would just be detonating missiles in the air before they're able to reach civilian centers.
yeah, which
Like,
is great.
if that's like genuinely what you believe it will be used for, and you trust that, then I could understand it. I just don't trust that.
Me neither, especially with the explanation I gave moments ago about there's no enforcement mechanism here. And even if
Yeah.
there was, would we be utilizing it by the collective we, the United States government? I don't know. I will also note that two people who did vote alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene are Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, who go off, Queens. Proud of
Go
you.
off, Queens. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
And
support this.
sometimes you got to vote alongside Marjorie Taylor Greene. Friends close, enemies closer, something, something.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. Sometimes you do. I think we're going to get into that with the Epstein conversation later, actually.
Woohoo! Oh,
Um,
yeah. Preview for our listeners. So we just jumped right in.
we just
Don't
jumped right
worry.
in.
We're talking about Epstein,
Yeah, we're going to get
but
to
we're
the
doing it
Epstein.
last
Yeah.
to keep you hooked. Anything else about AOC or MTG, our two triple named doppelgangers?
No, I mean, no. I would say like only general thoughts on this are in this case I don't think it ended up making a difference because like she voted for what has been reported. Often though, because of the nature of this shit, the reporting is misleading.
Hmm.
And this isn't a defense of AOC right now, just a exhortation to do your best to understand what these votes are actually about before you like try to draw too many conclusions about them. But also that's so hard because the law is like intentionally written to be obscure and accessible only to the priestly caste of lawyers. And
And even then,
even then it's hard. So
like,
if you're not equipped to do that, I can also maybe it actually is better just to trust journalists who are specialists in like reporting on governmental stuff. I don't know what my point is. God, I just what do we do
I
about
think the
this?
I think the point is, uh, there's a lot of obfuscation in trying to understand our government, and it sucks. And it comes from journalism, and it comes from politicians themselves. It comes from the system itself. And so my proposal, that will solve all world problems is if you get involved, when you get involved in your local or regional governments, make your laws and decisions easily accessible to the public and easy to understand. Because guess what? The populace is not as stupid as you think they are. They're
No,
actually
like
pretty smart.
that's the thing with laws. It's so much of law is not a question of like smart or stupid. It's a question of translation because
Hmm.
law law is a language that has been developed. Like in law school, what you learn is how to speak law and how to navigate law. You're not like learning much else, really. I don't know, maybe you disagree because you did the third year.
No, the third year is just electives. The third year is purely exploitation and extortion. But I digress. And maybe even part of the second year. But I would say that the further up in level of government that you go in general, the more obfuscated these things can get. And that's based on my own experience. So, like, to me, I'm biased because I am a lawyer and never really looked at these things before being a lawyer. But to me, like the city in my city, like the city codes and the county codes, they're very easy to find and they're pretty clear. There's like some confusion. Like our criminal code is a little bit wonky for the state. Like you have to like kind of do some search and find to like connect the dots to what the crime is and the penalty. But it's like it's pretty laid out there. It's not super hard to find, especially if you know where to look. Could be easier, different topic. But then here we are at the federal government, which controls over 300 million of us, and we're over 300 million of us are paying some kind of taxes to. And me and Sarah can't even figure out what the hell was voted on. It took us several
Yeah.
many minutes to just find the specific text of this and a lot of conversations before we started recording to figure this out. So my point being, the law does not have to be that complicated.
No. And if you're a journalist, I do think part of your job, if you're reporting on this, you should be doing that work. You should not be
Yes.
reporting on any congressional vote without a clear link to exactly the text of what's being voted on.
Exactly. I see that all the time with Supreme Court opinion reporting. They do not link to the actual text of the opinion, which, while a little convoluted, you could figure it out if you kind of stare at it for long enough. That's actually a little easier than some statutory stuff. But you don't include the link, and then nobody knows how to find it.
Yeah. So that's on journalism.
That's on
Also.
journalism. Also,
All right.
journalism and bureaucracy, negative feedback cycle,
Speaking
a
of
lot.
negative feedback cycles, Kat.
Oh, I can't wait. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna talk about Nazis.
Yeah, let's talk about Nazis and their various iterations.
Are we going to talk about? Never mind. Um,
So, anyway, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with Gutfeld or do you want to start with Elmo?
oh man. Okay, so Nazis all over the news lately, and
Yeah.
specifically prominent journalistic and media figures just coming out as Nazis. One of whom is a white guy who I would expect to come out as a Nazi, and one of whom is a red furry puppet,
Yeah.
which was not in my prediction list. Um, let's talk about let's talk about the human first.
Okay.
There's a nice. Can we play the clip? Uh, Every time I watch that clip, which is like maybe this is my third time, it makes me feel even worse.
Yeah, it's bad, huh?
Yeah. So let's start with oh my God, I don't even know.
So here's what I'll start with.
Okay.
I think pretty safe to say at this point that he's a Nazi.
Oh my God. The way at the beginning he says literally like, what's with calling us? Like he
Yeah.
uses Nazi inclusively as in he is a part of a group. And he's very impassioned here. So I agree. He's just fully outed himself as a Nazi, and I guess everyone's fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, I
Fox News
think
is fine with it.
he might mean conservative. I don't know. The other people on that sh- panel were saying like, "Whoa, whoa, oh God."
A couple of them were. One of them made a joke at the end.
One of them said Nazi, please. I don't know who that woman was. Um, I guess as an improviser, part of me respects her for yes anding and going down with the ship. Um, but
She
as
knows
a
that whole show's on the line at this point.
as a human being, uh, it's gross.
Yeah. Well, additionally, with that improvisation at the end, they specifically talk about black people. They say the blacks,
Mhm.
and then go on to appropriate like black language and ways of speaking when they say Nazi, please. Like it's literally like they're trying to make parallels and say this is the same thing as being black,
That's what
as
he's.
being a
They're
Nazi.
reclaiming it. They're reclaiming it.
Uh,
It's just the
was it?
same thing.
Is it?
Well, if you think about it, like the N
Okay.
word is a slur that was levied against black people
Hmm.
as a part of a broader social oppression.
Yes.
And the word Nazi is a reference to a historical group of people that committed a fascist coup and genocide and had a very specific and particular set of far right politics. And it's kind of the same.
I've seen no differences. I appreciate you
Did
clarifying
that
that
help?
for me. That really helped a lot. Thank you. And the other
Oh,
thing is
God.
that you can choose whether or not to be a Nazi, and you can't choose whether or not to be black. So I think that's yet another parallel.
Well, that is a good point. And I recant my position that the N word and Nazi are actually morally analogous. So you've convinced me that I was wrong.
Wow, I'm honored.
Actually, Nazi isn't a word you can reclaim because it's not a slur.
No, it just has a definition.
It just is a term. It's
And if you're upset that other people are upset that there are Nazis, it's not for slur reasons. It's for being a Nazi is bad reasons.
and if you're actually not a Nazi, that's not a word you'd ever want to reclaim. Maybe he could make this stupid argument with something like cracker or something that's actually a racialized word, but that has no real power because of
No.
the nature of like racial hierarchies in our country.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, Nazi is just not. He probably
No.
does think of Nazi as like so fundamental to his identity because these kind of like their response. These are like white pride people. They're like, can't what's wrong with being proud of being white?
Yeah.
It's just our heritage. You know, let's look
It's
up
like, but
Greg
being,
Gutfeld. Actually, what's his background? Who is he?
the other thing is like being white doesn't have to be your background. Like you can have more specific cultural ties. Like my
Hmm.
family's from Arkansas, like that, or my dad's family's from Arkansas. That's like,
Oh,
I
he went
mean,
to
they're
he went to
white
Berkeley. He's a
Arkansasans.
fellow Berkeley
Oh, joy. For undergrad or for law school?
undergrad.
Okay, that's different
Hmm.
because that makes me feel better by saying that.
Hmm.
He went to Berkeley and he became a Nazi.
He said I
Take
became a
that.
con oh, he said his
Take.
politics changed in college. He became a conservative by being around liberals, he says.
Oh, that happened to me in college, but the opposite. And also, I was never a conservative. I just became even more leftist by going to a
Yeah.
conservative school. So you know what? Maybe there's something there. Something there as in I'm glad that he's questioning the mainstream. But sometimes the mainstream is right, and here the mainstream is being hating Nazis.
Yeah, Nazis, we should all be able to agree that Nazis are bad.
Should, Sarah, should.
All right. Um, hmm.
So I'm glad that we're in another wave of coming out in this society. Uh, but I'm sad that it's not a queer coming out.
Oh,
Do you think
okay.
Fox News is going to keep this show running after that? We're going to keep this guy around? They
I
probably
mean,
will, right?
he said other shit.
Probably.
Here's a fun
What?
little Gutfeld note.
Okay.
Oh, July 24, 2023 broadcast of The Five. I assume this very show.
This very show.
Yes, this very show with Jessica Tarlov is the name of that woman.
Oh, the one who did the hard eye?
Yes, they were discussing an educational curriculum in Florida that proposed to teach students that, quote, slaves developed skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit, end quote. Um,
Oh my God.
and Jessica Tarlov did not like that because she's Jewish and she made a comparison to the Holocaust and said, well, could you make this same argument for those who died in the Holocaust? And Gutfeld invoked, I'm just quoting from Wikipedia here. Gutfeld then invoked Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl was a Jewish psychologist who wrote a very influential book about his time in the concentration camps.
Hmm.
Said he invoked Viktor Frankl's book Man's Search for Meaning, implying that those who survived the Holocaust had to be skilled or useful.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow.
wow,
Wow. Skilled or useful
wow.
to whom? Gutfeld. To whom?
Humanity.
Oh, I was gonna say the Nazis.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
uh,
I don't think he sees a difference in those two.
oh, you're right, because Nazis should be mainstream now.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. That happened.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
as we'll see if they just start proudly calling themselves Nazis. They kind of already have been, but
Yeah. I mean, Fox News has been like the most Nazi of all the media just forever. Not forever, but for the last couple
and they've
decades.
been doing
So,
Nazi salutes. Did you see the clip of
oh
border
yeah.
czar Tom Homan doing the Nazi salute recently
Yeah, at
at
like
the
the Turning
Turning
Point
Point?
USA. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did. They're just out doing it. Well, and then like why are they defending Elon Musk for doing it and saying that it wasn't really a Nazi salute? They were like, he's not a Nazi salute, he's just autistic. It was like, but I
Well, it's
thought
my
that
my heart goes out to you is what they're doing.
okay. Okay.
It's technically
Well,
a different salute because they touch their heart first and then do the Sig Heil.
okay. You know, if there's a Sig Heil involved at all, then I have concerns.
And I do too, because it's Nazi shit.
It's Nazi shit.
But it's all about like, I mean, it's the whole start like arguing with an anti-Semite thing.
Yeah.
Um, they're not trying to make a good argument. They know it's
No.
Nazi shit, but the point is just enough plausible deniability that they can argue with you about it on a Piers Morgan segment
Mhm. And
and
keep
waste your
keep that
time.
Overton window slowly shifting.
Yeah.
Look
And
over
the
here so you don't see the actual I mean, it's bad to do the Sig Heil, but there's a lot of even
right.
worse stuff happening.
And the New York Times and the Atlantic and whatever private company owns every local news channel in the country these days.
Oh,
Um,
USA Today.
no, it's different. It's like a private company. What is it? Private
Oh,
company.
someone owns
Sinclair.
USA.
I think it's Sinclair
Yeah.
News.
Are they the ones who own USA Today?
Probably.
Because
But
the USA Today bought out my local news, and now it's so bad. They shut down their building. They are not
uh
even like real. It's like a fake. It sucks. It sucks.
I see. The Sinclair Broadcast Group is the one I was thinking of.
And who knew that this would turn into like an anti-journalism podcast? Where
Yes.
it's not. We love journalism. We just
It's just
love
not
when
journalism.
it's responsible and real and not just like a propaganda machine.
Yeah, journalism and capitalism don't mix because
Mm-mm.
journalism cannot have a profit motive.
Mm-mm. Exactly. And when journalism has a profit motive, then it's not journalism.
Propaganda.
It's propaganda. It is based on money making only. It's a money making strategy.
Yeah, and propaganda doesn't just have to be in service of whatever government is in power at the
Yeah.
moment. Also, it just has to be like politically motivated, distorted, fake
Yeah.
media. Anyway, it's
Oh, that's
bad.
a good
Everything's
segue
bad.
to something that's not even on our list, but we should probably talk about is the defunding of
Yeah.
public media,
Yeah.
which okay, I have I mean, I think it's bad because a lot of the public media relied on the government funding,
hmm
but I don't love that media has to depend on government funding because then does that kind of lead us to like state-run media?
Yeah, that's like the tricky question when you're in a capitalist republic of how do you have journalism free from capitalist influence?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you either get money from the state.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many other options. We have like
Public
NPR
funding.
is crowdfunded mostly. PBS is also like funded by donors, but
Mm-hmm.
that still leads to value capture of these institutions by the people who fund them. Like
Exactly.
it's
Exactly. What if some of our all of our money just went our paycheck went straight to NPR or to journalism, but it wasn't through the government. But then how do you enforce that? I think that just becomes government run media basically without
yeah, which I don't know what you
well,
do.
Well, I think part of the issue is that you have to have money to run these places because we've decided that like money is the currency that we use to like or not the currency is the medium that we use in order to like survive and exchange goods and services. And so you have to be able to make money and have money to run these journalistic or lack thereof institutions. So how do we create institutions so that don't depend on money? Change our whole system. Ah,
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to live in a capitalist system that runs that way.
yeah.
For now, we do, but it's
For now
not
we do.
necessary. And I believe one of you out there might be able to imagine something that works better.
Yeah. One of you has a solution to journalism. Can you
And
solve it, please?
because we are fundamentally the Graeber girls, I will cite back to something he
We
says.
are the Graver Girls.
Um, his response, because there's this idea I encounter a lot when I'm trying to talk to people who are less anarchically or lefterly inclined than I am. Um, and they're like, well, how does that work? Tell me like all the details on how that works. And his point is, did they like no one forced the European capitalists of Venice and Amsterdam to like put forward their full social plan for how capitalism would work before starting, you know, colonial conquest and industrialization and like the destruction of every previous social order around the entire world. They just did it. Um, and like that's just not how anything really works. Like
No.
no one
I mean,
has a full accounted system for anything that they put forward.
hell no. I mean, as just a director, I have a plan. I have concepts of a plan. Um, but you can only plan so much because so much of it happens just in the room when you're doing it. And you're like, oh, I thought it was going to be this way. The actors thought it was going to be that way. And it's actually a secret third way. And, and I mean, that's going to have to be how we make economic change. Like, we are comfortable with the devil that we know, but we have to be willing to try some things that we don't understand in order to make changes that could be ultimately be beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, so many of the issues that will pop up are issues with like undoing the dominance of capitalism and unjust systems that it has wrought, and not like it's I don't know, it's complicated. What I'm saying is neither of us has the answer, but that doesn't mean not having the answer doesn't mean you shouldn't try or shouldn't think about it or shouldn't try to imagine options.
I love that. I'd love to imagine an option where Elmo's not a Nazi.
Unfortunately, Kat, that is no longer possible.
Rats! I can't
Yeah,
believe it.
like Gutfeld, Elmo has officially come out as a very virulent Twitter Nazi.
Yeah, actually worse than Gutfeld, it
Wor-
turns out.
Worse than Gutfeld. It's
Wow. Can I just read some of these tweets that you said? I
please.
didn't even know this happened, and I only know it happened because of Sarah, and I want to continue to pretend this never happened. Um,
Yeah, do that by reading some of his
so
tweets.
I'm gonna read some of these tweets. Sugar warning. They are so violent and disgusting. Do not let your kids be in the room when I read these. Maybe don't let yourself be in the room. Okay. Beginning to read tweets. Tweet number one. Elmo says, all craps, all Jews should die. Fuck Jews. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. Jews control the world and need to be exterminated. Um, Tweet number two. All caps. Release the files, real Donald Trump, child fucker. That one's pretty good. Um, Number three. Kill all. Tweet number three. In lowercase, kill all Jews, period. Not my favorite. Number four, Hen, aka Henry Musson, I don't know who that is, hacks Twitter accounts and his partner, Chef J3RRY, aka Isaac James Parvana, residing in Western Australia, launches and bundles them. Then, with the help of his friend at Waddles underscore ETH, they shill it to FNFs. I understand like half of that tweet maximum.
Oh
Are they
no.
outing themselves? Or are they just like naming their enemies? Unknown. And then we have some nice reply tweets. We have Anna who says, if I find whoever hacked Elmo, I swear to God. And then Elmo replies and says, fuck are you gonna do, N word? laughing emoji. Um, Linda can't, I can't keep quiet says, muting Elmo because this is hacked. And then Elmo says, fuck you, you T-slur daughter N-word. That's all I care to share today. So I would love to speculate about the identities of whoever's behind this and whether they really believe what they're saying or what is going on. But I think it speaks to the thing I'd really like to talk about is the fact that it is more morally and socially acceptable to be able to say these things to a degree where you could hack an account and say these things. Because in the past, other hacked accounts that I've seen just do some of the things that are really silly. This isn't
Yeah,
silly.
no, but I'm laughing, but I'm laughing out of horror
Hmm.
and
Mm.
sort of distress.
Mm. Mm.
Um, Not because I think it's comedy,
It's
just to
like
clarify.
no, it's like the laughing Buddha of like, wow, we really can't control anything and shit's just gonna keep happening, huh?
These guys seem to be notorious hackers. They've I just Googled that name, Chef Jerry, and they've they've done some big hacks in the past and made a lot of money, like hacking shit with like crypto or
Oh,
influencing the stock market by hacking corporate accounts or something.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but
Not
this
this.
stuff's bad, and
It's like, go ahead, go ahead.
I think it gets into something that I'm borrowing this take from a few other people. This is something they were talking about on the It Could Happen Here weekly roundup they do over there. I think it was James Stout saying this, and then Matthew Rimsky from Conspirituality was posting a thread with a similar take. So I'm borrowing from those two, but it reveals like the anti-Semitism, the neo-Nazi shit is not tied to Trump and it's not tied to MAGA. And the dangerous situation we're potentially in here is that um, while Trump was very effective at helping this group of people mainstreamify their positions to the point where Gutfeld's on Fox News saying, "Yeah, I'll call myself a Nazi." Like, that's out. That Pandora's box is opened, and now that
Hmm.
they're turning on Trump, because of the Epstein stuff, and because Trump always is and always has been a grifter and never really was so much a Nazi as he was a completely amoral con artist.
Hmm.
This
And he conned the Nazis.
and he conned the Nazis, or they used him to mainstreamify their shit. But he made Nazi ideology more accessible to the vast majority of the people that he did con, who were just like random, probably like passively racist and passively anti-Semitic people
Hmm.
who now have encountered all of this conspiracy theory garbage and now have, in my fear, like the fact that he said you're Netanyahu's puppet,
Yeah.
like that's where the stuff we were talking about last week with like there's no anti-Semitism on the left. It's like anti-Semitism is not a left or right thing.
Mm-mm.
Like it just is a thing. If you start believing that Israel, Netanyahu are these global puppet masters who control the United States government, like you can be quote unquote on the left, but once you start believing that, that is a passageway into Nazism, right?
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
there's many, many, many paths into becoming a far-right conspiracy theorist, into becoming like an alt-right Nazi. You don't
Hmm.
have to start by being politically aligned with them. Look at what happened with the whole Maha movement. Like so many of these people did not
Yeah.
start that way. They started as
No.
anti-vax, they started as like woo-woo natural medicine people or yogis, and they found
Yeah.
themselves into this alignment. And
Yeah.
I
And
I worry
we're
about
just
that.
me too. Well, and even starting from with the Maha point, like I know some people who have had really real health concerns about uh some of our food because our food system in the United States is fucked. Like the amount of pesticides involved in a lot of our foods like really mess with us. Pesticides and other sides, and like the level of processing. What is processed food is a whole other topic, but those our food systems are messed up, and I've seen people go from there and get sucked in to Maha because RFK makes like one or two like little points about it, and then connects it with all these other things that are fully conspiracies, and you get sucked in.
Yeah. And this is another thing I'm stealing from the conspirituality pod, but their kind of theorization of this pathway that I find compelling for making sense of a lot of what's happened over the last few years. It really doesn't matter where you start, but once you start from a position where like you choose a truth over any evidence to the contrary, like something is so importantly true to you that you will reject like new
Mm,
facts, new information, reasons to be skeptical. Um,
mm,
like, well, I believe in ghosts, right? But
hell yeah.
I don't believe in ghosts in real life, Catalina.
But damn,
But I'm being an example. I
flag for
believe in,
follow-up.
sorry, I believe in ghosts, right? I'm a person who believes in ghosts. My friends believe in ghosts. I might have had the experience of seeing a ghost.
Uh-huh.
Science says there's no such thing as ghosts, or at least like it shouldn't be like, why hasn't science proved ghosts exist yet? I've seen one.
Yeah.
Like it's not hard. They should be able to see them. Why is science lying about ghosts?
Mm,
And then why is science lying about ghosts? Well, now I can't trust science because science lies. So if someone else comes to me and says, you know what else science is lying about?
yeah.
It's lying about
Everything.
vaccines. It's also lying about COVID at all. It's lying about trans kids. They don't want to tell you that ghosts are real because they're trying to limit your intuitive powers and they're trying to block your intuition chakra, you know?
Oh
And
man, Sarah, you're gonna
and
create some conspiracy
dude,
theorists
like
on the podcast.
no, Kat, why do you think they put fluoride in the water? Because it's been shown that fluoride inhibits your intuitive chakras, which allow you to sense truths beyond the material plane, right? And
No wonder. No wonder my
science,
vision casting has become so much more powerful ever since they started filtering my water.
yeah, exactly. But science can't let you be powerful because that's how they control you, Kat.
They,
And who's they? Yeah, I mean, we
not
could
you.
talk about, there's a lot of days that we could talk
Yep.
about. I mean, it's not like politically correct to talk about who they are, but like if you just
Mm-mm.
look at history, like
Yeah.
who's been the people, look at who owns the media, for example. Like they do,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
like
if you
it's
happen to think that they is the Jews, that's on you.
that's your interpretation, and I'm not saying it would be a
Yeah.
crazy one because like it is true that like all the media apparatus are run by Jews and
Yeah.
look at Israel's position in geopolitics like right, so it doesn't matter what your entry point is. Your entry
Mm-hmm.
point can be white nationalism, but your entry point
Mm-hmm.
can be I believe in ghosts. And the problem is like once you've opened yourself up to picking and choosing truths against the evidence, then that gets addictive. That feeling of
Mm-hmm.
being contrarian, that feeling of like, whoa, dude, you're right. Like pff, the feeling of revelation, of like
Mm-hmm.
immediate understanding, enlightenment.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like this is also very contrapoints of us.
it's very yeah. Oh yeah, she talked about this too in her conspiracy episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But so my fear with the idea of anti-Semitism on the left and like why I'm bringing it into that,
Yeah, no, please.
it's it's not so much the fear of anti-Semitism on the left. It is because you're like people are right that that's mostly a right-wing issue. My fear is that I am increasingly seeing people moving from a place of like being anti-Zionist, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian, and incorporating more and more of this kind of Jewish globalist idea that is slipping in into stuff people are saying. And
Mm-hmm.
things like Trump is Netanyahu's puppet. Well, there's a lot of people on the left right now who would agree with that, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And well, he's actually willing to say that Trump is Netanyahu's puppet, right? AOC won't even say that. So like what else is this guy saying? Like maybe this is our
Mm-hmm.
ally that we
Mm-hmm.
have to have. And uh, it's we are in for a messy future.
You mean
And
it's not messy right now?
And I mean, this is why there have been anti-Zionist Jews from before Israel existed, like from Emma Goldman very explicitly writing about this and warning about this and saying, hey, the conflation of Judaism with the idea of a Jewish ethno-state will be harmful for Jews. And that's why, like, and I just, because of our current context, none of this means people shouldn't be critical of Israel. And none of this is to minimize the suffering or genocide of the Palestinian people by that ethno state.
Yeah. Well, and this is one of the one of the many downsides of an ethno state is it's really hard to criticize the state without it slipping into hate for the ethno. Don't love the way I phrased that, but it's true. The sense of it is like it's very hard to for a lot of folks to criticize Israel without slipping into anti-Semitism or anti-Semitic tropes. I mean, this kind of has happened in the past with Iran. Iran currently is subject to like a very violent, negative dictatorship, but it's been really hard for people in the United States to criticize Iran without slipping into anti Islam tropes. And we saw that with all the travel bans happening in 2016. Uh, and so just like this is this is anti-ethno state, I think, is kind of the point here.
Yeah, ethno state,
One of the points here.
ethno state bad. We don't like
Yep.
ethno state.
Nope.
Eth
Also,
genocide bad, ethno state bad. But uh, falling prey to Jewish globalist conspiracy theories is also
also bad.
it. And I'm not saying I don't think most people coming from a leftist pro-Palestine perspective will get drawn down that rabbit hole into Nazism. I think more people will than we expect. Um, Even though it will hopefully be a minority, like a lot of people don't have strong individual beliefs. Like so many people who currently identify as hardcore leftists identified as alt-right 5 years ago. Like these people in general are influenceable. Humans are influenceable. Beliefs are in many ways a social badge rather than a commitment to a truth. So I don't know. I Kat, what are we gonna do? Can you fix this?
Yeah, I could fix it by everyone just do what I say, and what I say is think a little bit for yourself if you can. I mean, we talked about this one or two episodes ago, and I said this, and then you said, damn, that's anti-vax of you. I was like, damn. But like, you really got to straddle the balance between like trying to trust experts, but also trying to do your own research within that. And when you do your own research, like if you don't have experience in doing research, then like, I don't know, be thoughtful when you do it. Talk to people who do research things. Don't just believe whatever, but you have to like at least try and grow the muscle of thinking for yourself and not
Yeah.
just believing things because your friends tell you to.
Yeah, not parroting shit. Like you should be listening to this episode, for example, and thinking like, do I agree with them? Why and why
Yeah.
not?
If you, during this podcast, don't at least once think that one of us is full of shit, then you're listening to this podcast wrong.
You're doing it wrong. We're both full of shit all of the time.
Yeah, that's why we started a podcast.
Yeah, you don't start a podcast if you're not really full of fucking shit.
Exactly. So please, like, we want you to engage. We don't want you to just like kind of listen to us and think whatever we think. We want you to engage with what we're thinking and think if that's what you believe. And we want to hear the things that you believe that are counter to what we believe, because we want to build generative collective solutions to these problems that are plaguing all of us. And we're not going to do that by you just listening to whatever we say. Then we're replicating the problem.
Yeah, and these
Uh,
will be problems.
yeah.
These problems are gonna problem. That okay, so this was the context in which I also wanted to think about the Epstein stuff because
Good. Good transition.
we're seeing hopefully a collapse of MAGA. I
Ah,
mean, I
knock
thought
on wood.
Donald Trump is the weaseliest little worm who's ever lived. So
So true.
like they're already coalescing around the idea of like um Yeah, we want them to release the Epstein files, but like, the good ones, the ones we can trust.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, what's the
So
actual
there's
language they're using? But anyway.
there's a lot of the reason we have to talk about Epstein is because it's really back on the news again. It always is like once every month or so, I feel
Hmm.
like. But um the really shocking not a lot shocks me anymore, but I was kind of surprised. I was taken aback is that MAGA, the right, whatever, is doing a total 180 in their rhetoric around the Epstein files. And they're like, what list? I don't know what you're talking about. You're stupid for thinking that there is, when that's literally been what they've been talking about for years. Years. And then now they're trying to collectively gaslight us into thinking that never happened. Which, not the first collective gaslighting done by any political party, TBH, but really, really interesting thing to be collectively gaslighting about, and I'm glad that some people are starting to recognize that they're being collectively gaslit. Say gaslit again.
Gaslit. It's
Ah,
it's yeah, I mean this one's like pretty obvious because they're trying to gaslit their gaslit. They're trying to gaslight their base,
it's
which
contagious.
God, yeah, it is. Yeah, like it's 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 stupid because obviously Trump was an Epstein client. This has been
Oh,
known for a decade and longer. He's proud. He was proud of it before he was president. Um, so like
and
none
then
of
now
that's
he's trying.
surprising. What's surprising is like, oh, okay, y'all on the right are finally deciding to like recognize this.
Seriously, and are finally deciding that like this is where we draw the line, which is fine. Draw the line as long as you're drawing it. That's fine. But
Yeah.
like, I'm just, why is this the thing? Why do we suddenly care about kids? Why do we suddenly care about
Well,
sex predators?
that's been the whole thing. I mean, that's what QAnon was. That's like that is the identity of MAGA is that they care about kids and sex predators.
So much that they keep them in office?
Well, Donald Trump wasn't a sex predator. Donald Trump was going to drain the swamp. He's going to clear out all the sex predators.
Oh yeah, by grabbing them by the pussy?
Okay, first of all, that's just locker room talk, and you know that.
You're right. That's not sexual predation.
No, but like that's also not necessarily sexual predation in their minds
That's true because they
because
want it.
that's adult women and they want it, and like adult women who complain about that are lying. Like are you talking about like Me Too? Like that's all lies. We're talking about children being kidnapped by brown people and trafficked around islands for Bill Clinton and adrenochrome.
Mm. But we're not talking about the brown people being kidnapped by the government and sent to concentration
No, those
camps.
people are criminals who need to be
You're
kidnapped.
right. Even the ones who aren't
In
criminals.
this
I'm
logic,
sure they still did
I need to be
something
very
wrong.
clear that I
Lots
am
of
being this
facetiousness.
character. I don't believe any of this. Um, yeah, it's no, I mean it's awful. Like
That's
they're
awful.
actively kidnapping children in LA. It's
Uh-huh.
videos of them doing it. None of this has ever been coherent, right?
No.
This has always been imagined. That
Hmm.
in phantasmatically, to borrow a term from Judith Butler, like it is true that sex trafficking is a real problem,
Yeah.
not in the way that they have imagined it. Like,
No. Most of the, I think for me too, the real kicker about this issue, like whether there's an Epstein list or not an Epstein list or whatever, like we know that Epstein cahooted and cohorted with other very powerful people and sex trafficked children. And maybe even some adults. They did some sex trafficking, like period. And we know that, and we don't need a list to prove that because there's plenty of other proof. The thing here for me is that there is a total about face and collective just reimagining of reality. And I think it's almost kind of like a test of how far can we gaslight our base into just believing whatever we say. and manipulating them. Do I think that if we quote unquote release the files, there would be a big fallout of a lot of people in power? Maybe. But we already know a lot of fucked up shit about people in power, and guess what? They're still in power. The only way you get removed from power is if you cheat on your wife at a Coldplay concert. Otherwise, no one cares, I guess. Um,
So
so
stupid.
it's so stupid because the people who actually have the morality to step down will step down, and the people who don't are gonna keep doing their crimes and not step down. Like,
Probably the people who have that level of morality aren't doing the sex crimes to begin with.
no, because cheating on your wife is not a sex crime. It's not cool, but it's like,
Who the fuck
why is
cares if some random person cheats on his wife?
yeah, of a company I've never heard of. Like, that sucks for you guys, but I don't think he needed to step down
Maybe,
as CEO over
maybe.
that.
We don't know. We don't know their relationship contract.
We
That was the other
don't.
thing for me. Y'all have no idea what's going on in these people's lives. As a
No,
as a
like,
as a poly person who's, you know, currently got my girlfriend's other partner staying with us for the weekend,
cute.
y'all don't fucking have any idea what that relationship dynamic is like.
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. But then,
anyway, that's a distraction. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's not a distraction because it's like we're talking about people in power who are willing to like take responsibility for their actions. And I'm like, I don't think that whatever happened at that Coldplay concert, unless there was sex trafficking involved, I don't think he needed to step down as CEO. But versus there are actual people with actual power who are doing actually truly heinous things that we know are happening, and they don't give a shit.
I mean, Matt Gaetz was almost the attorney general.
Literally, they barely didn't let him be it, and I was
Brett
not even really
Kavanaugh.
for sex crime reasons. He stepped
Brett
down.
Kavanaugh is a sex criminal.
Yeah, and
Clarence
so is
Thomas
Clarence
is a
Thomas.
sex
This
criminal.
is we have sex criminals on the Supreme Court, and we just don't care.
Donald Trump was a
Is a
known
sex
rapist.
criminal.
It was more than just the grab him by the pussy thing. It was more than Tim bragging about how he got to walk into the changing rooms at the teen Miss America pageants he ran. His
Uh,
ex-wife had written horrific and detailed and graphic uh like memoirs about the ways that he would rape her,
yeah, we
and
have
we
Stormy
knew that.
Daniels'
We knew
testimony
that.
on the record. On the record in court of law, she says, and we don't care. Joe
Doesn't
Biden,
matter.
even, and
Yeah,
we don't care.
it doesn't. They yeah. That is what's weird about this. It's like, why now?
Yep.
What has changed? Why now? I
Here's
think
the
in part
conspiracy theory.
Elon Musk,
Hmm. Yeah, we have a power struggle right now between Donald and Elon, which is very
and
interesting.
he tweeted out, about this, that he was in the Epstein files.
Yeah, whatever these freaking files are. Like, I feel like it's such a red herring to be focused on what do the files say and what do they don't say. Like, that's not really what this is about. And do you really care what they say? Like, actually? Like, actually.
What's your conspiracy theory,
Oh, the
Alexander?
conspiracy theory I've heard, I don't know if this is real or not, but this is somewhat related to the news alert that we all got about Donald Trump's like leg veins being not perfect. Uh, so silly. It's like, can you tell us
I
about the heart
was
disease that he definitely has from eating
I
McDonald's
was
every day?
so sad it wasn't worse news.
I know, but the conspiracy that I have heard is that this is slowly laying the foundation for Trump's exit from office due to health reasons. And somehow this whole Epstein thing is related. I cannot make the connection to how the Epstein thing is related, but regardless,
That the Trump administration is doing this Epstein thing intentionally? No way. I mean,
I
that's
don't know.
I could buy laying a medical groundwork for him to leave office.
Yeah,
He wants to die in office, though.
he
He wants to
does.
run for a third term. So,
Yeah,
um, maybe it's
yeah,
laying the groundwork for him to be fucking murked, but uh, yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
I don't know. Do we think? I mean, I'm just now curious. Like, what do you think about this conspiracy theory that he's laying the medical groundwork to exit from office? Would he really give up his power to JD Vance?
I don't think he would willingly ever give up his power.
No,
Um,
never.
but I
He
also
doesn't
don't
like
think
being
he's
president. He just likes being in charge.
yeah. I also don't think he necessarily was like has control over what stories are getting out. I think he's pretty out of it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the fact that like that's a news story that's being reported, to me that's like, okay, who is the one leaking that story? Is that JD Vance putting that story out there, for
Yeah.
instance?
That's also not
Um,
even a leak. It's like the weirdest, chillest like thing that a lot of people his age have.
yeah.
And
It's like he's
the
got to wear
fact,
compression socks.
yeah, yeah, cool. Me too sometimes, for just because my legs hurt sometimes because I'm tall. Like, I think, but then the other weird thing about that was that they were like, but otherwise the president's in perfect health. And I'm like, why is that? Why is that the thing you're willing to admit and then lie about his perfect health? Like, it's just so weird.
I think because people saw those pictures of his swollen legs and they had to explain it. No. Or the fact that he
No.
shits himself. Uh, it's we don't care about any of that. Um,
Talk about ABDL.
yeah, I, yeah. Um,
If you don't know what that is, don't Google it.
or do.
Or do,
You might
whatever.
find something you like. Um,
You might. If this is your pathway to ABDL, then whatever. I'm happy for
whatever
you.
floats your goat. Um, so here's my conspiracy theory, just playing off the same
I
shit I
want
was
it.
talking about before. Like why now? Why are they turning on
Yes.
him now?
Yes.
And I don't think he's giving them everything they want. Like
Mm.
he's not he just isn't. Like he's not the agent of their righteous divine wrath that a
And
lot
they
of
really
people
thought he
wanted.
was.
They thought he would be. Like they really thought he
Yeah.
would drain the swamp. They really thought like heads were gonna
Mm-hmm.
roll, that we were gonna see, the day of the fucking rope. Like
Mm-hmm.
like there's both the QAnon soccer mom who thought that she was gonna get to see all of these public trials of sex criminals. And then there's all the straight up Nazis who thought they were gonna get to see like the day of the rope, day of the rope. And
Mm.
that's not happening. They're not content with 3,000 Latino people being kidnapped every day.
Yeah.
That's
Or
that's
cutting
not Nazi
Medicaid,
enough. No, that's not, well, because
cutting
that
public
helps the rich people.
media.
Like that doesn't help his base.
Mm-mm.
Because that's not what his base ever cared about. They didn't think he was going to cut Medicaid because he said he wouldn't. That's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. Like he's betraying them in favor of the rich. He's not being the independent billionaire who wouldn't be influenceable and who would do all the good stuff. Doge was a failure. Like I think they're turning on him because they're realizing that he was a grifter, but
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean that they think that why they voted for him was wrong. And that's
Yeah.
the danger, is that they're turning on him because he's not Nazi enough, because he's not being enough of a pedophile McCarthyist. Like, he needs to be prosecuting Democrats for their role in the adrenochrome cabal, right?
Yeah. Or for
And he won't
the Hillary Clinton
because he never
emails.
cared,
No.
because he never
He
believed
just
it.
says whatever. If there's one thing that Sarah and Donald Trump have in common, it's that they're both improvisers.
We're both improvisers who just say shit. We don't know what we're talking about. Neither of us is an expert in anything. And
Except for
so,
improvisation itself.
except for improvisation itself. So
Uh,
that ties into what I'm scared of with like who is next. Because the lesson that whose voters are not gonna learn is, damn, maybe populist, fascist, far right, like people who make these fascist, griftist, xenophobic promises to us are grifting as a way of benefiting the 1%. They're gonna be like, we need to find a real fascist.
yeah.
That that's
Because
the
they
that's
do
the worst case
exist.
scenario,
Yeah.
you know.
And the DNC, meanwhile, is saying we just aren't. They actually have like a nothing opinion. They're like, we're not interested in talking about how the campaigns didn't work. They continue to just be the most nothing party,
Yeah.
like, and not stand for a single goddamn thing. Like, I don't love that the right is standing for fascism right now, but at least they're standing for something. I mean, I
What
take that with
happens
lots of grains of salt.
what happens when Tucker Carlson runs in the next Republican primary. And he's
Mm-hmm.
been able to position himself as this outsider who is critical of the corrupt Trump administration. And you're going to have people be able to say, like, well, there was that interview where he really went after Ted Cruz about the Iran stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not because Tucker Carlson is no longer a white nationalist, Nazi fuckhead. He still
He
is.
is.
But what Tucker Carlson is also good at is reading the winds of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the forefront of American Nazism for a long time now. And is President Tucker Carlson is a worse outcome because Tucker Carlson is smart.
Mm-hmm. Well, just throw Stephen Colbert in there against him. He's not going to be busy in 10 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the other thing we wanted to talk about.
uh, no. Well, I think we can keep this brief in saying that, like, this is just yet more evidence of our descent into fascism, shutting down media that's critical of the state. Um,
Do you think that's what it was?
I don't know. I mean, the Writers Guild of America says they think it was a bribe, um, and it was related to, I'm forgetting the details now because I'm getting tired.
Yeah, it's the parent companies. Like the parent companies were doing some kind of potentially monopolistic acquisition deal that they needed Trump administration approval for.
Yeah.
And so they settled to pay Donald Trump personally $16 million
Mm-hmm.
and as a bribe. So it is theorized to get the approval for this big merger. And like
Well,
that's to my reading, it's like fired for criticizing the corporate overlords, but not for criticizing the state, except that they're
mm,
increasingly one and the same.
yeah, and I think that's kind of my like entry point there is like criticizing the monopolistic overlords for their complicity with the state. And the state says, you don't get this thing unless you shut down the criticism of us. It's
Yeah.
like just like one step removed. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of why I view it that way, even if it's not direct. But like, how direct are you able really to get with these things? Like, Donald Trump can't probably unilaterally shut down a show, so he does the next best thing. He
That's
can't.
what's that's what's important to me about like drawing out that distinction.
Mhm.
Like the fact it is important that Colbert was specifically fired for criticizing his parent company
True.
and not for criticizing Donald Trump. And like it's still fascist and it's still
Yeah.
critical of like the oligarchy. But if we just say he was fired for criticizing Trump, then we paint the capitalist class as these cowering, yeah, sniveling like participants, but still victims of Donald Trump's fascist overreach rather than
Mm,
eager and active participants in it.
good
And it
point.
also exaggerates Trump's power and like it paints this idea that, oh, well, now Seth Meyers needs to be careful because if he's critical of Trump, he'll get fired. When it's like Colbert never would have been fired if he hadn't specifically criticized the company.
Yeah, yeah. Which is like, no, I think it is an important distinction, and I appreciate you helping draw it out. And and I think it's reflective too of though the idea that you can't criticize your overlords, whether your overlord is CBS or it's dear leader Donald Trump. It is like the point of journalism or even comedy, actually both of those things, one of the things they have in common is that they are both supposed to be critical, and that is their job. And and if they become complicit, then who do we have that can be critical of corporations and of our government, which are slowly emerging, not so slowly emerging.
Yeah, and I know you get this, Catalina, but like that's not a
Yeah,
distinction I'm trying to make to suggest at all that Colbert getting fired is less of a news story than it is.
of course,
I
of
just want to
course.
make sure, yeah, the overlords coming from the side of capital don't
Mm,
get to dissemble their responsibility by hiding in
mm-mm.
the shadow of Donald Trump. Like
Nope, they're
if if we
probably
get
doing
through,
more bad stuff than Donald Trump,
yeah,
TBH.
if we get through the fascism, if like America or whatever our culture is recovers to a point where we no longer have an aggressively fascist government. I don't want the companies and the capitalists to say, well, let's just go back to what we had under Obama. That was great. Like, we are not a
Nope.
problem. It was just all Trump.
It's very much like if Kamala won, we'd all be at brunch vibes.
Yes.
Like, that's still not like, yeah, I like brunch, but I also like justice and basic needs being met. Oh,
If Kamala won, you would all be at brunch, but who would be cooking the brunch? And who would be farming the tomatoes on your avocado toast?
exactly. And whoever they are would still not be getting benefits and still not eligible for Social Security via their work.
And a lot of them would still be being put in cages by the Biden administration deportation machine.
Yeah. Well, now the Kamala, or it would be the Kamala
Yes.
administration deportation machine, former border czar Harris, whatever the fuck that means. Uh, well, I think this is a great, great time to transition now to our attempt to end
But
some
yeah,
positivity,
some moments of hope.
some moments of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go first, Kat. Chloe, I gotta think of
Oh,
mine.
yeah, I also got to think of mine. Um,
Okay, I'll start then.
okay, you start, because I'm
Um,
still struggling.
a moment of hope. This is not. But
Oh,
um, well, okay. It is and it isn't.
okay, I'll take it.
It's not like a specific thing I can point to that gives me hope for the future, but it's a piece of media I consumed recently that I quite enjoyed.
Okay. Oh,
It is
excuse me.
an anime called Sunny Boy, and it's really fascinating. Um, it's like a very kind of it's about a school full of kids who go, quote, adrift and find themselves in a series of increasingly absurd worlds where that operate on
Oh.
completely different rules. And it's about this group of kids trying to like, how do you react to finding yourself in the absurd? And it's very much very directly like an engagement with sort of existentialism and nihilism and absurdism and like showing all these different ways that people react to losing the script, like being torn from the clear social rules of the social game, in this case, like a very rigid Japanese school system and expectations for entering the Japanese workforce. And like, how do these kids deal with all of a sudden losing that means they had for making sense of their lives and like having to
Mm.
invent and create their own meaning? And some of them embrace the challenge and some of them don't. Some of them create rules, some of them create little fascisms as a way to like assert order over the chaos, and some of them
Mm.
end up embracing the absurd. And the position of the creator is obviously like the fascism is the wrong response. Um,
Mm.
and I thought it was great. There's a lot of really great Japanese media that engages with these themes in a way that I don't think Western media does successfully.
Mm.
So if that sounds interesting to you, highly recommended. Plus, it's also just beautiful. It's a really beautifully animated show.
Ooh, I like that. Thank you for that recommendation. I will
Yeah,
maybe watch it eventually.
probably you won't, but that's okay.
I'll put it on my ever-growing and never shrinking
Yeah.
list.
You should be more
Um,
unemployed than you could.
such good advice. Um, you know what? I'll choose a media focused positive thing. I have been currently engaged in a my third rewatch of Steven Universe,
Oh,
a now antique animated series, and my partner had never watched it all the way through. So we've been watching it together, and I am really enjoying the rewatch, and the reason it brings me hope is because we're talking about all these forms of media today that have brought a lot of bad things to us. But it reminds me that there is also beautiful art and beautiful media that can teach us and help us understand really deep themes of empathy and human connection and conflict resolution and uh, dealing with differences and queerness. And these things existed years ago because the show is like getting old now. It ended in 2019 uh, and started in 2014. And it still feels maybe even more poignant to me today as a rewatch. It helps remind me of these lessons that I want to hold in myself, even though my gut instinct is just to rage and give up all hope. And there are still things out there that can be great models for having hope and empathy and um, optimism. So, yay for animated TV.
Yeah. I guess in conclusion, all we can really say is this is Garnet back together, and we ain't ever going down at the hands of the likes of you.
Okay, okay, okay. That's great. That's great. Well, um, if I were a fusion, or if I were any character, I think I'd be Opal, even though we don't get a lot of screen time for Opal. Just really
Opal.
vibe with her. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never strongly identified with any of the characters in that show, but
Oh,
I quite enjoyed them anyway.
maybe you're just a human.
No, no, that can't be it. I'd probably be like a super diamond. I'd probably like what's better than a diamond? I'd probably be that.
Oh, platinum.
No, I don't want to be that. Like
Uh,
you'd think I would relate to like the Steven Amethyst fusion because she's kind of like a clown. But
oh, I like
no,
that.
I don't. I don't actually relate to her.
Kind of if that fusion also fused with Pearl, I think maybe there'd be something there for
Which one
you.
is Pearl?
The OCD one.
Pearl, the OCD one? Pearl, obviously one of the main characters. I don't know why in my head she was a different gem.
That's okay.
Um, yeah, I guess, I like Steven's dad.
Greg.
I'm a Greg.
Yeah. I have a
Uh,
love-hate relationship with him.
yeah, and I have a love-hate relationship with myself, so that makes sense.
Ah, there we go. There we go. Um, wow. Well, thanks everyone for listening. You can tell us what gem you think you are, but really I want to hear your engagement with all the rest of the ideas if you can. And if you
Yeah,
feel depressed, just watch some cartoons.
cartoons are great. Highly
They really
recommended.
are.
In the meantime, I'm Sarah. You can find me on Instagram at Sarah Rose Kaplan.
I'm Kat. You can find me on Instagram at She's Doing Her Best. Okay.
She's doing her best talk. And thank you all so much for listening to the cast review.
Yes. And good luck, stay safe, and read things critically or don't read at all. No, just
Yeah,
read.
those are the only two options.
Yep, that's
Um,
it. Okay, bye.
anyway, bye.